Welcome to Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. I'm your host, Lisa Huff. Over the last 5 years, I've coached hundreds of hairstylists and beauty industry professionals, helping them work their dream schedules exclusively with their dream clientele and earn their dream income, all while fostering genuine connections and lifelong friendships inside the beauty industry. In this podcast, we dive deep into abundance, manifestation, business building strategies, and creating a life that you are truly proud of, both behind the chair and at home. Are you ready to embark on a journey of personal growth, success, and sisterhood? Then hit that subscribe button now and get ready to experience the pure magic of Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. Hi friends, welcome back to Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. I am joined today with a member of SST, Jenn Santos. Jenn is someone that I have been coaching and had the joy to get to know over the last year or so. How long has it been, Jenn? How long have you been in Soul Tribe?
It's been almost, I think July or August will be 2 years.
2 years. Okay, I knew it's been a while, but time
flies.
also flies. And let me tell you guys, Jenn is a powerhouse. She's humble, she keeps to herself, but because I have had the privilege of working with her, I can see just how impressive she is from the outside looking in. This is the first time Jenn has ever been on a podcast. She was telling me before we hit record, she's feeling a little bit nervous. This is so outside of her comfort zone, but Jenn is somebody where, like I said, I get the privilege of talking to all of these, beauty industry professionals on a daily basis. Jenn's not trying to shout her achievements from the rooftop. She's just over here like really actually doing the damn thing and doing it really, really well. So I wanted to bring her on and just share her story with all of you. So Jenn, you want to just do like a quick little introduction of who you are, where you're from, how you've gotten here?
Yeah, I'm Jenn. Thank you, Lisa, for having me. I have been in the industry for about 16 years now. I live in Northern California, and I currently own a booth rental salon. I'm a mom of two, been married for, I think, 7 years. I should probably know that.
I should probably know that too. I don't know either.
Right. But yeah, working mama and just trying to live the dream, and It's been a journey.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So every time I mean, Jenn was one person. She didn't ask to be on the podcast. I asked her to come on because we were in a Soul Tribe call and she opened her salon in November and we're recording this in March. It'll probably come out later because I'm pretty batched, which is great. But a few months back, the salon was just coming to life. And it's so fulfilling and cool watching that happen. And Jenn was just kind of sharing her story with me. And I was like, I am just so impressed by you. Like, I need to have you on. We need to talk about it. So that's why I have her here. So she was like, what direction are we going, Lisa? I'm nervous. You got to give me like something to go off of. And I'm like, you just like brain dump some points of like what your story is, what's made you who you are today, how you have achieved what you've achieved. Because I'm always thinking of who's listening to this and like hindsight being 2020. And if someone is a 5-year, 10-year younger version of you, Jenn, like what are the messages that they need to hear? So Jenn did some brain dumping. So we both have a little bit of talking points, but you're like, I don't know if I want to go this direction or not. It may be a waste of time, but you shared a little bit about your childhood, which I didn't even know this. I know SST20 did know this because you guys are so close and so tight. I don't remember you ever sharing that with me. So why don't you tell us a little bit, go all the way back to kind of like your childhood, because it sounds like the way that you grew up was really pivotal in like becoming the woman that you are today.
Totally. I feel like I am the youngest of two. My sister was about 4 when I was born, and I come from, an amazing mom and dad. I mean, my family was amazing. I was born and at 3 months old had a very rare blood disease called aplastic anemia. So it is where it's a blood condition that your body fails to make blood cells, which enacts with your white blood cells, your red blood cells, your platelets. So the only cure for that is a bone marrow transplant. So it's technically not cancer, but it's cancer's last form of like treatment. Wow. So my 4-year-old sister had to be tested. My mom had to be tested. My dad, family, they go through banks of like donors. My dad ended up being my donor. He was my like almost perfect match, which is wild because usually it's your sibling. So to put a 4-year-old through that to like, okay, help save your sister, right?
Yeah.
So my dad and I have been very, very close, because of that. But yeah, so I was about 3 months old at the time, stayed in the hospital. I think my mom and dad said maybe 3 months-ish, and then on and off. Had to see an oncologist until I was 18.
Wow.
And then now, I do have a close relationship with my doctor, and we make sure everything is fine, and a few other things kind of have come up from there, but now it's incredible. I'm healthy. I
Doesn't
have
affect your
no
daily
side
life.
no side effects. A
Wow.
big one was being able to have kids, and I am
Mm,
so damn grateful to have both of my kids here,
yeah.
and they're healthy and they haven't
Wow.
had to go through anything like this. So it's really, I feel like, pushed me to have, truly that second chance, and like
Mm.
I'm gonna make something, I'm gonna do
What age do
something.
you remember that? Like, because okay, this happened when you're 3 months old. You have no
Mhm.
memory of it,
No.
So, like, but
Mm-mm.
your whole entire life, you remember these stories of like back when Sissy was sick or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
what age do you remember that? Because I think it's so fascinating, especially now as a mom. Like, I know fourth grade, like, I have whatever brain exists in my skull right now, I remember it then. Like, it's interesting. Like, I have memories previous to that, but I remember like back then thinking like, I kind of get it. Or like I would just have complex thoughts at that age. Like, what age do you remember being like, I need to do something? Like, that's such a fascinating thing, and I would love to know what that
See,
was
and
like.
I don't truly even know. I feel like high school is probably big. My parents were both always like workaholics. They both worked full-time jobs. We grew up in a time to where, your parents worked. You were home a lot by
Hmm.
yourself, or you were so independent. So
Yeah.
I think a combination of everything. My parents working really hard to give me and my sister an amazing life, and to have, I don't want to say I'm spoiled, but we were well taken care of,
Yeah.
which showed me like, okay, you have
And it
to
was
work.
done by intentionally. Yeah. And you
Yeah,
saw that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was more just like conditioned to like keep going. And then as I feel like, these other things kind of have happened in my health, and it kind of just made me look like, oh, like this isn't normal,
Mm.
I don't know if it was done intentionally to like, you're normal, everything's fine, because things were so crazy.
Hmm.
But and I think that's what a lot of my, thoughts are too, of like, oh, it's normal. It's fine. Everyone deals
Mm.
with this. It's no big deal.
Mm.
Um, which that just was a light bulb, right? Now
Yeah.
I kind
And
of
as your brain continues to like develop and you understand things more and
Mhm.
more, you're just like, wait a minute, wait a minute. So yeah, you kind of just always knew. And just being, and I know you shared a little bit too. It's a long story, so we won't go there, but there was like a scare in high school where you like thought
Mhm.
there was a tumor, there wasn't. So it's like these moments where
Mhm.
you're just like, this all could be gone. Like
Yeah,
I need to do something, with myself.
totally.
So you went to beauty school through high school as well, right? Tell me a little bit
Yes.
that story, how you went into this industry and that journey.
Yeah, so I loved getting my hair done. I'm a May baby, so it was like 6 months I would have a birthday, get my hair done, 6 months Christmas, get my hair done.
That's what you wanted
And
to spend your money
that's
on. Yeah.
what I always wanted to spend my money on. I loved doing different colors, different styles. Like I was one of those clients that's like, do whatever you want. And
Hmm.
it was so fun. So I had a love of doing hair. My senior year of high school, I did the RLP program, went to high school, went to beauty school right after, split the day, and then graduated June of 2007, and had my license January 2008.
Awesome.
So it was like right out of high school. I remember going to my very first salon the day, literally on my way home from state board, and was like, okay, here's my test. Like, I
It's go
passed. Are you going to
time.
hire me? Yeah.
Not wasting any time.
Yeah. Had my own little like lookbook. I know you're not surprised by that. And,
I bet you
just
did.
like, and I'm just like, here you go. Like, are you going to hire me? And they're like,
Uh-huh.
okay, like, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started working there, and it was an assistant, and it was
Hmm.
like one of like the top salons in the area. It was so cool. Got to learn a ton. Got to learn a
Hmm.
ton. And that's when like updos were really big, and I'm like, "Oh, you guys, I'm not so good at this." But I got to learn color, some cutting, a lot of good foundation, and a lot of my clients came from those days, and they're still with me now,
That's
16
so
years
cool.
later.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So I worked there for about a year and a half ish, from 2000 early 2008 to 2000 end of 2009. And then that's when I left there and started working at a salon suite with
Mhm.
with one of my good girlfriends, and she was with two other people. So
Okay.
her and I shared a station, and just like I was still working another job. So
Okay.
I was always kind of going, always had
Busy.
two jobs.
Mhm.
And then it was a suite, it was a three-chair suite, really teeny tiny. We shared, I think I
Mhm.
worked like 2 days a week, 3 days a week or something.
Mhm.
And then
What was your other job? Now I'm just curious. This has
so
nothing to do with the plot. I'm just
okay,
curious.
so what was my other job there? So I worked at an elementary school as like a
Uh-huh.
secretary.
Yeah.
I worked at Safeway for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And then I worked at a commercial heating and air company.
Okay.
So it
That's
was
so
like
funny.
right, admin stuff.
Yeah. But that doesn't surprise me because I've always been like that too. Like in high school, I worked at Texas Roadhouse, or during the summer, I
Mm,
worked at the Big Basin Marina, which my
mhm.
dad kept our boat at. I would sell like boat launch passes. I made so much money doing that
I love
job. I
that.
wish I could go do that again. I would just lay in my swimsuit on a golf cart and just like sell people boat passes and make commission the whole time. Yeah, Texas Roadhouse, that the Basin, and I was like Culver's a little bit. So that doesn't surprise me. Like I feel like you are just someone that just like, and that's why when accountability or things like that, I'm
Mhm.
always so impressed by you, but you've just always done shit. Like you
Yeah,
don't waste time. You,
I don't know any other way, and
yeah.
it feels so normal to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm learning that it's not, you know.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah,
grateful for what it does provide you, but definitely there
yeah,
comes the other end of that pendulum and that balance that is
yes.
sometimes hard to navigate. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's like, when do you stop? You tell me all the time, it's okay to pause, like
Mm-hmm.
appreciate and
Like
take it
you
all
just
in.
built an entire new salon.
Yeah.
What do you mean your next homework should be like the next big thing?
Uh,
Sometimes you gotta
right?
chill. Yeah,
I know. Chill is hard. We're learning chill.
it
Lisa's
is.
teaching me
Yeah.
chill. So thank you. So yeah, so I worked at the commercial heating and air company, and the owner of that company, he was a family
Hmm.
friend that ended up hiring me. He was freaking amazing. Like, gave me medical insurance, everything,
Oh
and worked
wow.
like bare minimum. He was
Wow, that's cool.
like I and so when I finally quit, he was like, I'm not surprised. I didn't think you'd stay here this long. I
Yeah,
think I
I'm
was
just happy
there.
I could help you during your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like I think it was almost 3 years that I was there. I
Okay.
would work from 6 a.m. to like 2:30. I'd go straight to the salon from like 3 to 9, 3 to 10,
Wow.
and
Just hustle.
just did it.
Yeah.
I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So
So like
it
three
was
years into your
incredible.
suite, you go all in on hair. Is that
hmm
correct timeline? Tell me, I guess, about that.
yeah, let's see. 2000. Yeah, so we moved a couple different suites in the building. We just kept
Okay.
growing and kind of moving. So we were in one for 5 years. So after yeah, probably 5 years. And then we moved, we were in that suite for a year. And then that's when I was solo by myself. And
Mm-hmm.
then we were in our other suite for another
And when you
year.
say we, this is just like suite
So
mates?
they're suite mates. So there is 5 core of us that were in those suites the whole time.
Okay.
And then 4 of them are when we opened our own storefront. So they were my business partners,
For
and
sure.
we co-own the salon together. Yeah.
Okay. Love it.
So
So yeah,
yeah,
tell me
so that's
about
where that
that
journey
journey
started.
from being in a studio into opening
hmm
your first salon. Because when you joined Soul Tribe just
hmm
about 2 years ago, you
Yep.
were still in that position with all the co-owners. And I
Yes.
vividly remember being like, how's that going? Because I feel
Uh-huh.
like from the outside looking in from a coach's perspective, I've seen a lot of things that like I probably wouldn't do because I just see how challenging some things can be. And a
hmm
partnership is one of those. Like, unless it's my
Yes.
husband, which even that probably wouldn't be a good idea. But I do know a few people who like have a partnership with their spouse and that works. But like when it comes to friends and stuff, I've just seen that get tricky for a lot of people. And again, that's part of when I said I wanted you on the podcast. You have handled it all with such grace and like maintained friendships, but found a way to work around it. So tell me a little bit about how
Yeah.
the salon with all the co-owners came to life. Let's go that route.
So it kind of almost like forced on us because we were growing. We all needed our own chair at our own station, and we just didn't have the room. So a
Mm-hmm.
space, so the suites, it's like a 2-story. So upstairs is like the suites, and then the downstairs is like actual commercial buildings,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so one of the suites, our landlord was like, it's open, if you guys want to move down there, like that's fine. So we were going from, I don't even know what our square footage in the suite was, 300 maybe. I don't know. It was tiny,
Mm.
to like a 1,200-foot space.
Wow.
So it was a big adjustment, much
But same
more,
landlord. So that is, how do you
same
say no to
landlord.
that? Yeah,
You
that
can't,
is, it
you
kind of
can't.
fell into your
There's,
lap. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So there was the 5 of us. It was, much more of a financial obligation to move. So one of our girls, she was like, it's just not for me right now,
For
with
sure.
respect. And we're like, cool, no problem. She still worked
Mm-hmm.
with us. She still works with me, but she knew it wasn't for her. So the 4 of us were like, well, we're in. So if
Mm-hmm.
we're good, let's do it.
Yeah.
So everything was kind of split 4 ways.
What year was
And
that?
that was 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, 2018. No,
Okay.
2019.
Okay.
And it felt natural. It felt right. We had all worked together for so long that it just felt like we were still operating as a suite, just in a
Mhm.
bigger space.
Mhm.
We didn't have any other renters at that time. We shortly hired our first one in July, I think that same
Mhm.
year. So we were kind of learning as we went,
Yeah.
but it was really good. And I mean, and then even towards the end, it was still really good. I just wanted more,
Yeah.
there, four people is a lot.
It
And we
is.
all
I mean,
brought,
a partnership with two people is a lot. A partnership with four people
yeah.
is a lot. So how did you go from like this idea? Because I remember, and I'm
Hmm.
sure these women will listen to it. So just as your coach, like I remember
Hmm.
you having these like tugs, but you cared about these people so much. And so
Hmm.
that was difficult to navigate for you, not knowing what to say, how to share it. Like, when would you say that seed like started like getting planted in your head, and what did it look like, and what did you dream of that was more or that was different that owning in a four op co-ownership didn't
Hmm.
allow?
So I started my Thrivers journey in 2019.
Okay.
Clearly learned a lot from Britt and
Mm-hmm.
truly changed the way that I thought about my business.
Mm-hmm.
Starting from then, so I think I started Thrivers in November or something. We had moved in this suite earlier, I think we were in April 1st. So really like honestly right after,
Mm-hmm.
2020,
Your
mid,
eyes just got opened
past
up to
to
taking the
all these,
business more serious and how it can
yeah,
grow. Yeah.
yeah, and just really like me starting to implement and no one else kind of wanted to be on board. They're like, oh, we don't need to do that, all old school, which is fine. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. And no one knocked me for wanting to do anything. Everyone was super supportive. But finally, it got to the point where, like, I would do like a hot towel treatment, and the client next to me would be like, oh, that smells so good. I'm like, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
what do you say?
Yeah.
And I tried to tell them like, hey, all this stuff you guys can absolutely use.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just certain things that, I found that our stylists were coming to me for like, hey, what do
Mm-hmm.
I do about this? Or
Yeah.
I was kind of
Took this like
managing a lot of
leadership
it.
kind of role. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we each had the four of us that owned it we each had our strong points, right?
For
And
sure.
clearly that one was mine. So it's always been a dream. I
Mm-hmm.
remember my dad telling me, you know, before I even started beauty school, like, well, if this is what you want to do, don't waste time, like do it in high school. So if you don't like it,
Mm-hmm.
you could go to college.
Yeah.
And then he also said, I just don't want you working for someone your whole life, because the beauty industry was so misconstrued back then, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not anything like what it actually is, right? Or what we
Yeah.
know is possible. So I would say, I mean, pretty soon into it, and I was honest from the beginning, and I just said, I probably won't renew the lease. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
always been a dream of mine to own my own salon, and
Yeah.
I never lied about that. I was
Yeah.
always very forthcoming.
Totally.
And I had looked at the space probably about a year before. No one knew. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I mean, it doesn't
and
just happen overnight.
right,
Clearly, there was
yeah,
some thought to it. Yeah.
yeah. So I was just like looking for spaces and seeing. I've heard things that like commercial buildings and commercial properties take so long to negotiate, so long to
Mm-hmm.
find. And I'm like, well, what does it hurt to start?
Mm-hmm.
So I found this space. There was actually a salon there before, and the landlord, a lot was going on, and I'm like, okay, if it works out, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. A
Mm-hmm.
couple months later, just kept working, just kept like, tucking money away, just saving everything.
Okay, let's
And
work this timeline out though.
okay.
Okay. So you open the salon in like 2018, 2019. Because again, I'm thinking of someone who knows that this is their dream one day.
Hmm.
And like, again, how you have done it, we'll drop the bomb here soon that
Yeah.
Jenn did it completely debt free, which I'm so incredibly impressed by. Somebody who wants to be in that position so many
Hmm.
years from now, like, this is where I really want to capture it. So, like, these are the
Yes.
things you can start doing. So it's not just like you hope this somehow comes together. Like,
Hmm.
you were very intentional about it. So, 2019, you opened the salon pretty
Yes.
quickly and you realized this is a good transition stepping stone.
Hmm.
Eventually I want to own something that is mine, that I make complete decisions on, yada yada. What year was your lease going to be up, and when did you start tucking away money, just knowing that one day you were going to do this?
So I feel like I've always tucked away money. I've always been a good saver. I got that from my grandparents, just saved, saved, saved. I didn't know really what I was saving for, but I knew I knew I was going to be saving. I knew this eventually would happen. Our lease
It
was
never hurts
supposed
to
to,
sit on a pile of cash. Like it makes things
right?
easier. Yeah.
Totally. Our lease was to be up actually this month.
Wow.
So we ended up getting out of our lease early.
Okay.
Well, I'll wait to that part, but
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So the new salon happened a little sooner than I would have probably liked. I would have loved
Yeah.
to finish out the,
Seamlessly. Yeah.
but
Uh-huh.
that wasn't what was in the cards. It didn't
Yeah.
align. So
Yeah. So the
yeah,
space became available, and then
in
how was
like
that transition?
June of 20
23.
June of
Yeah.
23. I'm
Yeah.
like, what year are we in?
I
June of
know.
23. And so we were kind of working on the lease, and I signed the lease August 1st of
Wow.
2023, knowing, okay, worst case scenario, I'm going to have to pay for two salons, and if
Hmm.
that's what I have to do to meet my obligations for my co-stylist, co-owners, like, then have to be prepared to do that.
And again, that's why just like integrity, there was three other people owning the salon. If you wanted to, and I see so many people do this, and I know when emotions are high and there's money on the line, like sometimes not the best version of us shows up. Like I can
Mm-hmm.
think of a couple people that this is happening with in Soul Tribe right now, and I can't blame them either. Like there's drama going on. They just want to step out and be like, fuck off. What are you gonna do about it? Kind of thing. But watching you, Jenn, handle this with so much integrity, like you were budgeting with not, there's three other girls that can keep the salon operating. Surely, if I dip out, they can find a way to rearrange this. Sure, is it legally binding? But like the whole entire time, you just were like, I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna, take the loss that I need to. And I, for a while assumed that there was a business loan taking place in that. And I think that was the moment that I said, come on the podcast when you really shared that you did all of this completely debt free and just with
Mm-hmm.
that set aside. So, like, lesson I want to be is like save, 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 save. Do you have any like actual tips for that? Because it's like, oh yeah, that always sounds great. Like, do you just live completely below your means? Does that
Mm-hmm.
come off the top? Is that profit first? Like, what are you doing?
So it's kind of a mix of profit first and like the old cash system. So
Hmm.
I claim everything. There's nothing that I do
Yeah.
not claim. But anytime I would get cash, the cash would go in an envelope.
Mm.
The cash doesn't get deposited. The
Just
cash
pretend like
is
I don't
out of
get,
sight,
yeah.
out of mind.
Hmm.
And then with my account, like everything from cards and everything too, I try to do anywhere from 15 to 30% at the end of the month. I'll see what
Love.
I made and I'll just throw it in. And I do have a ton of different accounts, like tax account, savings account,
Hmm.
all the things, right? So
The
it's
game
not touched.
changer. Hmm.
It is not
Love that.
touched.
Love that.
Um, yeah, so it's just really being intentional in not going through and spending, did the color cleanse and really like made sure I'm not
Mhm.
overbuying anymore because I used to a ton.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, I saw how good I had it with, co-owning, right? Our
Hmm.
our bills were very minimal. And it was like, okay, I had to go step into this new role and I had to be able to afford everything on my own. So
Yeah.
talking to my husband, I'm like, babe, if I only bring in, like $100 a month because I'm paying all of this, are
Yeah.
we okay with that? And he's like, yeah, like if
For a
that's
little
what you
bit.
want to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
yeah,
Same way if you
then we
said,
have
babe,
to do
I'm
that.
really feeling called to be a stay-at-home mom. He'd be like, okay, we'll make
Yeah.
it work. Yeah. Like if
Yes.
and I also think that's a huge testament to your marriage and the partner that you have and all of that, because not everyone has that either, but that's beautiful
No.
that you went into it knowing this isn't going to be, there's a chance that this is not super profitable off the bat. There's a chance
Mm-hmm.
that we're, hardly scraping by in the beginning, but I think that also goes to show how much you wanted it. Because that's
Yeah.
not like it was just the bright, shiny thing that you were chasing
Mm-hmm.
after. Like it was much deeper than that. So, what was the vision for HB Collective, like from the very beginning? Like, what is it? Like, when you just think of it as a whole, like, what is it? How would you describe it?
It is being a place to where clients can come and stylists can come. The stylist can get the education they want. The clients can feel truly pampered and cared for,
Hmm.
thinking about the mom, right? We have people at us, mom, mom, mom. We're always
Hmm.
doing everything, you know, for everyone else.
Yeah.
When is it your time to be taken care of? Whether
Yeah.
that's for 2 or 3 hours every 6 to 8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And so doing those little things like, and they're just so small, like the hot towels, the beverages, like if you see someone sitting there with their cup of water half empty, hey, can I refill that for you?
Truly
Or
treating people. Yeah.
truly, yeah, truly treating people the way that they should be treated and giving them an experience. We have a
Yeah.
couple like higher end areas that are like 30 minutes from me. And I
Hmm.
see clients all the time driving out there. I'm like, why? We are right here. Like,
Hmm.
here I am. So just bringing that to our smaller community and being that place that you can get haircuts, you can get color, you can get extensions, you can get scalp facials, you can get all these things right here in our hometown.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
And so then what did that look like when you finally did share with the girls? Because I remember you were worried and it ended up working out so well.
Yes, I was terrified. Going back real quick, my husband, he was truly amazing. And the girls will tell you, my SST 20. And I had to ask so many times, like, I knew deep down that I could do it, but it wouldn't be just me letting someone down, right? It'd be my
Yeah.
husband, it would be my family, it would be my kids. My kids are the Y, they're the HB to the
Hmm.
HB. So, like, what's our worst case scenario? We live in our trailer. He's like, no, we would sell the trailer if that's worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
We're fine. And I'm like, okay.
But you're
So
like
going back,
entertain me. Like if I
yes,
really royally fail,
yes,
are you gonna rub this in my face? Or do you love me?
yeah,
Are you mad at me? Did I fuck up big
yeah.
time? Like sometimes we need to play. I don't know. I'm sure you watched This Is Us. You feel it. You
Oh,
seem like
yes, yes.
I love when like what's his name? Why am I Sterling K. Brown, what is his character? Randall and
Oh,
Jack.
Randall.
I love when they used to play, like, what's the worst that happens? And they
Hmm.
like say the most dramatic thing. But I need to
Yeah.
do that too. Like, are we still together? Are we still a team? You're not
Yep.
saying, oh, Jen, you told me this was gonna take off to the
Hmm.
moon and now look what's happened. I love that you guys hashed that
Yeah.
out.
Yes, because realistically, I'm taking a huge chunk from our savings, right? So, like,
Yeah.
he had to be okay with it. And he just a little shout out, he was phenomenal, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we all saw that. So going back, sorry, I just had to add that in.
You should
Going
shout it from the rooftops. I love
back, so I told the girls that after I signed the lease, I said, that this has always been a dream of mine, that the space became available. I had to jump on it.
it.
We have construction to do. Construction will probably take 3 or 4 months. Like, I don't plan on going anywhere. I'm planning to be here,
Hold on
ride it
my
out.
financial end of the bargain. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they were very supportive. They were
Mhm.
very happy for me. They completely understood where I was coming from. I'm sure that they probably wish the timing was different. I mean, we
Totally.
all do,
Mm.
but they were so supportive.
Yeah.
I kind of kept it quiet. I wasn't going to tell our renters at the time. I just, this was me leaving. I had to be okay with, not that we are having a breakup, but like being okay being by myself.
Yeah.
I had to come to that. And so as much as I wish I could have still worked with them, there was no way that I couldn't not try.
And you
I
would
couldn't
have
not
been
try.
almost like entitled, assuming that they were gonna, that like this was gonna end
Yeah,
up
that
differently. Like
they would
you're like,
come.
I know I'm leaving. I'm making a choice. I can't make a
Hmm.
decision for any of you. Like we're gonna do this on the best terms possible. And then what
Hmm.
ended up happening, because I just want to say I called it. I
So
remember a
you
few
did
months
call it.
back when that happened. I'm like,
You
I
did.
think all these girls are gonna end up there with you, Jen, because this is just too good.
Too good, right? So during that time, right, when I didn't tell anyone, we still had people coming in. Like, I was doing the interviews and
Mhm.
I did not say a solitary thing. And they're like, well, do you want this girl for your new salon? I'm like, no, like, I am here. I am fully committed
Mhm.
to this salon until
Yeah.
I leave, right?
Mhm.
And even then, I'm here to help.
Yeah.
So once one of my renters, they kind of knew that she was going to go. And so
Mhm.
she told them, they're like, you know what, I'm going to go with Jen. It just seems to be a good fit. They're like, totally fine. We get it.
For sure.
So then the turning point was when one of my other renters, she was like, okay, I just broke it to them. Like, I want to go with
Wanted
you.
to go too.
That's what's
Yeah.
best for me. And that's when things kind of got a little more slippery because they're realizing those
Their
stylists
budget's going to
want,
change a lot if they're going to stay
yeah,
put. Yeah.
yes. And I'm like, you guys, we could find renters. I could help you find renters. We'll
You're
get
the
those spaces
best.
full, right? Get those spaces full. And they're like, we don't want this. And
Yeah.
I remember, I'm not going to say any names, but one of my coworkers, she was like, can we go see the space? And I'm like, are you sure? Like, no one had seen anything at this point. I
Mm-hmm.
kept everything very private. I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to rub anything and like separate.
Yes.
So I'm like, I mean, if you want to, she's like, let's go. And I'm like, okay. So it was late after work one night. We went there and she was like, okay, lay it all out for me. And I'm like, okay, it's just kind of going over
Uh-huh.
everything. And she's like, I don't want to own. I don't want to do this. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. Like, she's like, can't, how do you feel? And I'm like, I mean, I would of course love to not ever
Yes.
leave any of you. Like, I love
Yes.
you, I don't want to
Yeah.
not work with you. I just want
But
the
I'm not going to pull
fame.
salon ownership from you if
Yeah,
that's your what you
exactly.
want. And that's the thing is you guys opened the salon together. You kind of
Hmm.
took on these leadership roles, but like maybe they
Hmm.
just wanted to run a different kind of salon than you wanted to run. And it
Hmm.
then slowly but surely, I just remember like month after month getting on the calls and hearing the polos.
Hmm.
It was just like it happened so beautifully.
Yes.
And everyone, or did one person end up not coming?
So everyone but one person
Okay.
didn't end up coming. She was able to get her own suite,
Beautiful.
very
Still all
mixed.
love there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd still love, at least on my side. I just had to keep true of what I wanted.
Yeah.
I knew that if I kept everything the same, I would be resentful.
Mm.
I would have spent all this money for what?
Mhm.
And maybe I should have asked them before, like, hey, do you guys even want to own? Can I buy
Yeah.
the salon? But at the same time, the space had so many memories. I don't
Mhm.
think I would be as successful as I
You
am if we
wouldn't be
didn't
able
jump,
to create something new. Yeah.
the whole
And
energy, the whole
probably
space.
even Jen, at that time when you were doing a lot of those things, they probably thought they still did want to own, but it was like almost
Mhm.
like time has to go on for them to realize. And again, all love, but like in any relationship, if anything, like you almost don't realize what you have until it's gone kind of thing. And
Totally.
then once they realize like, oh, this is what this new normal is going to look like, we don't even
Mhm.
need to own. Let's go, you know?
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
which is
So
so
yeah,
dang cool.
all six of us are together, and it is magical, and I am just so happy. And they all know I'm a little anal about certain things. And
Mhm.
so I remember I'm like, full disclosure, this is what I want. Here's my handbook.
Mhm.
You tell me. Like, I'm leaving it. This is all up to you. I'm not, if you want to get a suite, if you want to do whatever, don't
Mhm.
feel like you have to come.
But this is my
And I feel like,
vision. Yeah.
yeah, and if you're not on board with that, that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
that is okay. And I just remember everyone's like, this is gonna help me, this is gonna
Mm.
benefit me because it's gonna push me to do XYZ. And I'm like,
Mhm.
this is all that I've wanted, all along, is
Mhm.
to just elevate the industry and help and be a support. So
And I just
now.
want to highlight too just how true you stuck to like your boundaries, your
Mhm.
desires, your needs, your vision. You could have so easily, when they said they're coming, been like, oh, cha-ching, that makes the budget a lot
Mhm.
easier. Like, okay, let's just like do a version of what we were doing before. Or like, I mean, and I don't even think they asked you this, but like my brain can't help but think like if you go from multiple owners, like do they assume that they're coming into that ownership role? And you were so clear with your communication. You overly communicated from the get-go.
Mhm.
Like, this is my desire. This is my pull. It's not that I don't like what we have found ourselves into. I just see something different. And I just think you've done that so beautifully because I could have seen so easily how, like, maybe this wasn't the case, but like maybe one of the other owners would have like grabbed that vision as well and like tagged along with it. Like I even
Mhm.
remember when Soul Tribe was being born and I haven't gotten much of this anymore, but when it was in its like growing phases, like there was people who like, can I invest in this and be like a co-owner, or like can I be part of this with you or whatever? And it's just like no, like this nobody can see it like I
Mhm.
do. And that's not any like hate or anything, but like you just had the confidence and the knowing that like this is a one person show because my vision's
Yep.
so clear that I don't need any other feedback or thoughts or opinions on it.
Yeah,
And that's
totally.
powerful. And I think when people are young and before they have that, I see a lot of young stylists specifically, not that there's anything wrong with this, but like want to open up a salon with their
Mhm.
friend or with some because they don't have that confidence and that understanding and that vision and the fear, like you said, of telling your husband, like, what if I do
Mhm.
lose all this? It makes that a little bit more safe if two people lose
Yeah.
it together and it's both of our faults? So there's something really
Yep.
powerful and there's no way to force feed that to someone. You just have to live life and learn it. But I think that that's really a big part of why this is so successful now is you just did the work and had that confidence and knew what you did want and what you didn't want. And I'm so happy that the girls were on board with that and you got to keep the
Yeah.
best of both worlds.
Same. Totally
Yeah.
same. I
Yeah.
mean, I couldn't have asked for anything better. And then, I made an Instagram and just started posting our mission,
Yeah.
our vision. I had no space, I had no photos, I had nothing but my freaking dream to put out
I
there.
remember you were just like putting out stock photos almost and
Yeah.
graphics and that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then like the application slowly started coming and I'm like,
Oh.
what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
why can I have this over here? You know, I didn't have this line of people wanting to,
Mhm.
you know, come and work with us
So explain
and
what
just
that's been like, because now you are November, December, January, February, March. You're 4 months in.
Mhm.
And you're already like
Oh
never
my
what you
God.
would have thought you would be 4 months
No.
in. So like share just from when the Instagram post started coming out to like where you are today.
So it has just been a wild ride. So with the Instagram post, like putting out there what I want, like you said, the vision is so clear,
Mm,
and I had a specific person ideal, you know, in my head of what I wanted it to be. And I almost like, you know, I went through, I followed all the salon, you know, the stylists in my area. I'm like, okay, who do, if I could pick a perfect
who
team, right?
fits
At
this?
this point,
Yeah.
I had no idea any of my team was coming. I'm like, I need
Mhm.
at least 7 people to come with me, you know,
Yeah.
to fill my chairs. And just started going through, having conversations, you know, really paying attention to what's around me and kind of like handpicking people. And
Mhm.
it was just so cool. And having these, you know, interviews or talks or whatnot with everyone. And it was just really incredible. So, kind of fast forward a little bit, we are a team of 10. We have 7 chairs. I have 3 people on a wait list.
Meaning
I am
she's already at capacity 4 months in.
I'm adding another station because they're like dream people that I want, you know, and
Mm.
they're everyone's like, you need to expand. I'm like, you guys, I'm not even a year
We
in.
just like the paint just dried. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, it's been incredible. And doing our like salon photo shoot, like looking
Mhm.
around, there were so many times I'm like, I could just like ball right now.
Yeah.
Like it is just incredible. Every lady on my team has something unique to offer and to
Yeah.
bring to the table.
Mm.
And it's incredible. You know, it's incredible to be around. It's incredible that they believed in me to jump, you know, and make this leap with me. You
Yeah.
know, I'm just
Yeah.
figuring it out too. I don't know everything.
Totally. Totally. But you have a clear vision and you have the
Hmm.
best heart and the best intentions. And that's like where success follows, is if you lead
Hmm.
with that and coming from the right place, like that's where it follows. Okay. Again, hindsight being 2020, thinking of who's listening to this. Do you have any regrets? Do you have, I'm assuming no, because look at where you've ended up. But like going back to originally opening that salon with 4 owners, like,
Hmm.
are there any regrets?
Nope, because the things that I've learned and the things that they have taught me and that we've learned from each other,
Hmm.
I wasn't in a place to do it by myself then. You
Yeah.
know, that was what the story had to be, and they're incredible, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like we grew so much and it made me kind of be able to naturally step into that leadership role even
Mhm.
though I was no one's boss there, right? But
Mhm.
it's being able to kind of help and serve, and when I'm, you know, helping my co-owners with their pricing and like, hey, what do
Mhm.
you think about this? It's letting it happen naturally to the point where it made me have the confidence to be
Mm.
able to do it now, you know.
Mhm. And was being debt-free intentional, or were you open to taking out a loan if you needed to, or like where was your mind at with that?
So we were definitely open. My husband and I talked a lot about doing a home equity line of credit,
Mhm.
and that was what the plan going forward was. You know, we had the money in our account, but I was such a saver that I didn't want to touch it. I
It's
didn't
so
want to see
scary
that.
to take money out of savings.
Yeah,
I agree. It's like that's why you
yeah.
save it, but then you never want to touch it.
You
Yeah.
never want to touch it, you know?
Mhm.
So I remember like paying our contractor with like the cash that we had. I'm like, okay, here,
Mhm.
okay. Oh, I only have to write partly a check, and just saving and saving and saving. And I mean, I took about 20 grand out of my own savings, not even my
Mhm.
husband's, just
Mhm.
to pay. And so it ended up being, you know, what, 50 that I took from our joint
The
account. And he's
household,
like,
yeah.
yeah, he's like, babe, I when I met you, this was a dream. There's
Mhm.
no surprise. You let me do
Mhm.
whatever I want to do. I would be selfish to not believe in you and like let you take it. It's ours. It's, you
Yeah.
know, like,
We've worked for it and it's
yeah,
gonna pay off, and it's already, who knew how quickly it would be like, okay,
yeah,
no, I made the right decision. This is safe. We're not gonna lose everything.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. But it was scary. And, you know, being able to do it without the like burden of the loan or the extra, like, you know, like credit has always been a very big thing. I've always like prided myself on having good credit. You know, I
Mhm.
own my own home at 18 years old, you know, and just those decisions made it
Yeah.
possible to have this nest egg, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't regret any of
Yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah. And I know you kind of already threw out some numbers, the 20 and the 50, and
Mhm.
a lot of people won't even go there. And you're in California, so it's going to be different everywhere. But I know there are
Mhm.
also people who like one day want to own a salon and they have no
Mhm.
idea what something like that even runs.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
you said your entire build out was what, 70?
So we were about 70 without like the deposit and first month's
Mm-hmm.
rent, we were at about
Mm-hmm.
70.
70
And
for build out.
keep in mind this was already a salon before I moved in,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So we were about 45 on construction alone,
Mm.
and then the rest was supplies and
But it's
equipment.
also stunning. You could have done it for
It's
less and
beautiful.
had it not
Yeah.
have been the look you wanted, but you were
Yeah.
pretty set on that. And that's what's so cool.
Yeah.
And again, why I feel so just like lucky that this is my job is I've seen people in Soul Tribe open salons for $8,000. I've seen
Mhm.
People in Soul Tribe open salons for
Mhm.
$250,000. Like the
Absolutely.
range is so big. But if you guys want to follow Jenn, I'll put her Instagram below just to get an idea because a lot of people won't
Mhm.
talk real numbers and it is kind of irrelevant based on where you're located and stuff like that. But sometimes it's just nice. Are we even
Mhm.
remotely. So I'm so grateful that you're like open and willing to share that.
Yeah.
So you lease your space now. You're at
Correct.
capacity. We're only four
Mhm.
months in. We just got
Yep.
started. Like I know I kind of hate when people ask me what's the future, but like what do you think? What direction are you heading? What's your vision right now? What do you think this is all going to turn into?
My main goal would be to own a commercial building.
Yeah.
So in my area, things are like 3, $4 million that I just don't have, right? I
Not
mean,
yet.
so not yet. Hopefully one day. So I mean, still, I'm always on, the real estate side. So I'm looking, I'm seeing what comes up. There are a couple that I can't afford right now, but they're not in the best area. So I'm like
Mhm.
just hoping. And yes, I have a 5-year lease. So if any of my neighbors decide they want to go, I
Mhm.
will
You could
gladly take over
expand.
their space
Mhm.
and expand. But the ultimate goal would be to be able to buy a commercial building to be there forever and not have to worry about
And for just like wealth building, not putting,
it. Yeah.
having equity, having that
Hmm.
eventually one day being a building you could sell and cash out of or
Yes.
pass along or whatever.
Yeah. I
You're
know.
really impressive. I know you were nervous coming on here, but I hope as you're saying that out loud, I know it feels weird. And I remember like I was telling Jenn that before too. Like I remember the first podcast I ever run on. It
Hmm.
feels so weird to just like talk about yourself and your accomplishments, but also like Jenn, how many stories have you heard before you that like showed you, shined the light that like, oh, this is possible. I can do this. I can go there. So thank you for being brave enough for just
Yeah.
like sharing your story.
Well, thank you for having me on and believing in me that this would not have happened without Soul Tribe. Like, shameless plug because I came in, right? My first conversation with you, and I'm like, it's the goal. And
Yeah.
now we're not even 2 years in, and it's happened before the
Yeah. It's
timeline,
happened big time. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
happened big time. And I would not be where I am at without the incredible community of Soul
Mhm.
Tribe and
You're so
my
sweet.
Soul Tribe specifically. I mean, and the amazing owners that are in this group. Like,
Yeah.
it's incredible to be surrounded by so many amazing people. And I tell the girls all the time, like, I, I, this would not have happened. Like, it would not have, I wouldn't have had the courage to do it,
Yeah.
you know?
And just the speed at which you've moved too. And that's what I'm saying. Like when we
Hmm.
get on monthly calls and you have accountability of like, this is exactly what I'm gonna be working on
Hmm.
from this month to this month, it feels like, okay, it's been less than 2 years. I always think back. Time is just such a trip. I always think back, what if I could just like snag a screenshot from your Instagram and go back to our onboarding call and be like, this is
Hmm.
where you're gonna be in 2 years. Like I
Yeah.
wish that I had the ability to do that. Obviously I don't, but
Yeah.
like it's just so wild. But then at the same time, it's like 2 years goes by so fast, but also like you get so much done in between each month that like when you just put your nose down and you show up and you do the needle mover, I'm going to move it forward a little
Hmm.
bit, a little bit, a little bit. You look back and you're like, holy crap, I have a whole different like career and trajectory. And where did all this come from? And I think you are just like the ultimate testament to that.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
yeah, I'm really
Thank
proud
you.
of you. And when I asked Jenn to come on, Soul Tribe 20. There's like a joke in Soul Tribe where everybody like says they're the favorite tribe and they're a great tribe. Of course, I can't publicly say if I have a favorite. They're all like my babies. Like I own favorite kids, but Soul Tribe 20, they just got together. They actually all came to Jenn and stayed at her house, which
Hmm.
God, I wish I could have been there. But they are such a close tribe. And they were talking and they were like, can all of Soul Tribe come on the podcast? Can we just like talk about like, and I've asked them before, like, what did you guys do to just get so tight, so close, so vulnerable, so accountable, because
Hmm.
some people like, you have friendships that have been in your life forever. You have these business relationships and they let you not be the best version of yourself.
Yep.
And that happens. And in Soul Tribe, the intention behind it is to like hold you accountable to that. But once you're with each other for years and you've heard people's excuses enough times, sometimes that even slips. And even an
Mhm.
accountability group and a mastermind can kind of coddle you to your, and you guys are so good at just being like, no, you are going to do the next right thing and the best thing, and you are capable of so much. So in a few months, probably from when this comes out, or a couple months,
Mhm.
few weeks, I will have all of Soul Tribe 20. So Jenn will be
I
back
can't
along
wait.
with the rest of Soul Tribe 20. And I don't know how we're going to do that. I've never done a 6-person podcast episode, but we're going to wing it. We're going to try and we're going to see
We're
how
gonna
it
do great.
goes. Yeah. So you guys will see Jenn again for that. I'm going to plug
Mhm.
your Instagram. Is there anything else, one that you want to share, or anything else that should be included in the show notes, or anything I might be forgetting?
I mean, I am an open book. Anyone can feel free to reach out if they have any questions or like just want to chit chat. Like I am
Yeah.
here to just do it. Things it's fucking scary. Like
Mhm.
doing something different and going out and against anything you know, but with a great group of people behind you that truly just want the best for you. They don't have any ties to your personal,
Yeah.
life. And I think that with SST 20, like we dug deep real quick. So we got to know each other before really a lot of our businesses,
Yeah.
and it made us really push, and we know when to back off. We know when we need to push.
Mm.
And I think I was pushed in all the right ways
Yeah.
and had the support and the cheering and to just go for it. So if there's something you want to do, go for it because you just truly don't know what's on the other side.
Mm.
I mean, it's just so true. It's so cliche, but it's so true. I
It's
am
so
just
true.
so glad that everything worked out the way that it did. And I don't know, you just got to keep on keeping on.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jenn, for coming on. We will see you again. All of Soul Tribe Conversations. We'll see you again in a few weeks with SST 20. I'll put all of Jenn's information down below. Like she said, she's an open book. And thank you guys for listening. I will talk with you next week. Bye.
Thank you.